that are so destructive to all relationships. Love does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Truth. Bears all things, or suffers all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails because God is love. And is He the one that wants to be in us, loving through us. And it's a wonderful experience when that is a reality in our lives. Because it takes away all that brokenness that destroys so much. Jesus made it so clear. Now, this is a shocking command on the part of Jesus. Who in the world will say, I'm telling you, love your enemies? The Jews that listened to Jesus' command could see the Roman soldiers around them. They could not understand what Jesus was saying. Love your enemies? Not only that, he says, bless those that curse you. Can you do that? Can you love your enemies? Let's be honest. Can we do it? No. Why would Jesus ask us something we cannot do? I mean, can you really love your... I imagine that if my enemy lives far away, I can love him. No problem. But don't come close. Stay there. That's the way human nature is. And Jesus is telling us, love your enemies. Bless those that curse you. And not only that, he says, do good to those that hate you. Who can? I mean, who can do that? And pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. This sounds like a crazy command to human minds. These things need to be understood spiritually. Jesus is showing us in this verse that we need something else, that we cannot do this on our own. He's showing us our utter dependence on what He is. That's why He said, two verses down, He says, for if you love those that love you, loving those that treat you well, that hugs you and tells you pretty things and all that, anybody can do that. Anybody can do it. Even the tax collectors, the publicans can do that. Anybody can love those that love you. What virtue do you have in that? Are you different than the rest of the people? Jesus is saying, I want you to be different. And He knows that we cannot do that, so He's actually leading us to say, okay, how can I do it? Teach me. Because there's no way I can do that in my own. With my own strength, with my own wisdom, I cannot love people that treat me bad. And then Jesus puts this in a command because it's so important that we need to understand it's a commandment. A new commandment I give you, that you love one another. How? As I have loved you. And how did Jesus love us? Unto death. Can we do that? If we understand how to love, I can assure you of one thing. Jesus made it so clear. He says, by this we'll all know that you are my disciples. Sometimes we go to the end of the world trying to win people to Christ. And we teach a lot of doctrines, and we have a lot of tools that we use. But you know what is the most powerful way of reaching the hearts of people? Is learning to love like Jesus loves. I have found that churches that know how to love, in general, we can say the majority of the members love like Jesus loves. God brings new people to that church, and He fills that church. Because He knows that in that church, they're going to not only find salvation, they're going to find healing, restoration for their lives. So that's the most important thing for any church, is to learn to love like Jesus loves. But whenever we try to do that, we have a struggle, a battle, because Satan doesn't like it. Our battle, we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, but against the devil himself. Last night we shared a little bit about the time when I met Alvy. I was in Argentina studying to be a pastor, and I was looking for a girlfriend. I met Alvy. I fell in love with her. Because of circumstances, I could not see her regularly because of the requirements of the university. And she was studying to be a nurse, actually working and studying at the same time in a hospital. And because I wanted to be closer to her, I actually ended up deciding to have an appendectomy, even though I did not need it, just to be in the hospital